welcome back once again to October Reads, and today we have a contest entry suggestion. That's coming from Alex the Comic Hoarder, who writes in saying the closest thing to a horror I've read and enjoyed is The Blackest Night. Lots of great tie-ins. And I was surprised, for some reason I never really thought about doing Blackest Night as a part of this, and as soon as I read the comment, there was one issue that came to mind, and it's not even from the main Blackest Night series, and that issue was Green Lantern issue number 43, The Origin of Black Hand. So this is the prologue to Blackest Night, and this is just one of the more chilling issues of a comic I've ever read, just to put it plainly. So basically it starts off with one of the Guardians of the Universe, except this one looks like it's been scarred, burned, what have you. And usually the Guardians of the Universe, they're the light that guides the way. They're responsible for igniting that Green Lantern flame to begin with. You kind of get to see their journey of them failing with the Manhunters and replacing them with the Green Lantern Corps. But there was one of these Guardians that was more obsessed with, obviously the other Guardians were bringing in the light, but there was one that was obsessed with bringing in the dark. And he is the one kind of guiding the strings of William Hand, if you will, in his origin story. And another favorite thing about the origin story of Black Hand is you actually get to see some of these other scenes that have transpired throughout Jeff Johns' Green Lantern run. Which Jeff Johns' Green Lantern run started in Green Lantern Rebirth, and obviously went all the way up until this issue number 43, and then beyond that even. So you actually get to see a little bit of Black Hand in Rebirth, and that's where he loses hand. Parallax / House / Spectre burns his hand off in that point, basically. So you even get to see that scene. That's the ring hand, obviously. You get to see that whole scene retranspire here. You get to see the scene as well from the Secret Origins portion of Green Lantern, where the Red Lantern comes to Earth and has something called the Divining Rod he's trying to use to fight both Sinestro and Hal, and Black Hand gets a hold of the Divining Rod. That's one of his main weapons he uses against the Green Lanterns down the line. So you actually get to see the entire process of William Hand growing up. It's kind of like that Rob Zombie Halloween. I know not everyone likes that movie, but it's kind of like a similar story of this child who is just a black sheep of his family. He's just a little jerk, basically. He's the one who doesn't want to pet the family dog. He will kill and stuff the family dog as a trophy. Not a comfortable scene, obviously. And he's just obsessed with his father's job and profession, which his father works at a mortuary. So he is all about figuring out what his dad does for a living, learning anything he can about the dead, basically. And that's where it's just seeing Doug Mankey's art, which is awesome, by the way, but seeing these panels of a child drawn hanging out in a cemetery and actually enjoying himself is quite horrifying, if you will. So basically he grows up, he gets this weapon, he wants to use that to fight the Green Lantern because for whatever reason he becomes obsessed with Green Lanterns and extinguishing their light in the universe. He wants to bring darkness because in the background he is hearing voices in his head that have been guided by this rogue guardian that are telling him what to do, and he doesn't even realize it yet. So you get to see all this transpire, and then eventually he decides to make his own costume. Turns out his costume's made out of body bags. So, what other type of crazy horror villain could you ask for there? But the most chilling scene involves Black Hand's big return to his family, which for the most part, the rest of his family normally has a mother, father, and 2 brothers. He's the middle sibling of the family, and that worst part for the book is when he goes home and he uses this rod to kill his entire family. Just cause, basically. He doesn't really have any bigger reason other than the fact that he wants to extinguish the brightest light in his own life, basically. And there's this voice in his head kind of guiding him and telling him what to do, and he's becoming obsessed with that. But after he does all of that, he actually decides to take his own life on top of it. So it's not often in a comic, and it's not like I enjoy seeing in a comic often a murder-suicide of a whole family, but they really make you feel how evil this character Black Hand is. It's definitely like the most over I've seen someone put a character and their evilness into a book that Jeff Johns has put into the Black Hand. So after he kills himself with the rod, that's when the Guardian shows up, and there's another mysterious figure speaking in his head, who you find out who is if you read Blackest Night, and they basically deem this guy worthy of being their herald, basically. So the Yellow Lanterns have Parallax, the Green Lanterns have Ion, who Kyle Rayner wielded for a while. Now the Black Lanterns have picked their herald in the Black Hand after all these dastardly acts that he's done. So just a phenomenal issue to get you ready for Blackest Night. So I know there's plenty of Green Lantern and Blackest Night fans out there. Don't sleep on this story. This is absolutely essential in understanding how good Blackest Night is. And not to mention the fact that it leads into the awesomeness that is Blackest Night. But also, you see all those other seeds that were planted previously in Green Lantern Rebirth and Secret Origins with the Black Hand character, and it all pays off 43 issues into a run. So just a masterclass writing from Jeff Johns, in my opinion. One of my all-time favorite runs from him. Of course, for me, Jeff Johns, the Green Lantern, it's going to be a 5 out of 5 for me. Absolutely enjoyed this issue, getting a chance to reread it. Doug Mankey's art, he had a lot of hard artists to follow. Obviously, Ivan Rice stayed on the book for a long time. Shane Davis did some fill-in work along with Philip Tan between those two. But then Doug Mankey really... Jeff Johns really found his artist in Doug Mankey around this point, going into Blackest Night and then even into New 52 later on. So if you guys like Green Lantern or the Blackest Night stuff and have casually read that, definitely seek out issue 43. I highly recommend it. All right, thank you guys so much, and I'll catch you next time on October Reads.